Harm. I am Supergirl.
Hey guys, just finished watching Supergirl, Season 3, Episode 18, Sheltered from the Storm. Since I started my new job, I've just been able to, finally got a chance to watch the episode. And this episode was really good, really interesting episode. It was really fun. The next episode after, I'm afraid it looks like a filler episode, but I'll get into that after this episode. So let's start it here. We see Lena. Lena and James are they're living. We find out that Lena's been living in a hotel room this whole time. She can't just afford a place or anything like that. Although, since she's Lena Luthor, maybe the place is kind of giving it to her for free and public like publicity type thing. But at the same time, which obviously she doesn't need it, she has the money for it. Would they really give it out to a Luthor free? I don't know. But it just why would she not have a place? It's interesting, but who knows? Rain shows up and kind of attacks them and attacks her and James, looking for she's looking for Ruby. And Lena quickly has a kryptonite spray kind of type thing just to defend herself, so to get her away. And John, and then we get to see John's father, and he's getting really worse. The Legion are going back to the future, which is quite interesting there. And then John, and we find out that John will, as they're leaving to go to the future, Mon-El says, "I'll tell John I'll see you in 1,000 years." So we know for the fact that he lives 1,000 years. Although if Mon-El decides to stay later on, he does. Does that really mean that he's going to actually see him in 1,000 years or not? That'll be cool to see that. John and Supergirl go to protect Patricia Aries, Samantha Aries' mother type thing, or adopted mother, so that's really cool there. And then Ruby we find out that Ruby is in Alexa's mansion, which is a cool idea, but I just don't get why the house was so invisible. Why did it, why was it like that? It doesn't make sense to me. Rain shows up at her old house with all her new powers type thing, and ends up killing her mother, Patricia Aries type thing. That was really cool scene there. It was really cool seeing that. Although the actress they got to play Patricia Aries, it was not really terrible. Like her death scene, her sadness, her last words, and all that stuff were not as good as Ruby. The actress who played Ruby was way better than the actress who played her grandmother type thing. So it was just a different contrast for that. And it was really cool to see. I mean, obviously they needed to get someone for Ruby because the character had to shed a lot of scenes from here when they put more effort into that. Whereas the Patricia Aries casting was probably not the best. It wasn't, it just could have been better for that death scene, and then the emotional type thing that the characters went through was just by far the Ruby was a lot better. So that was quite cool, interesting with that. Brainiac, we find out that Brainiac put a bug in the dirt that he gave to Win, that's from the future type thing, which is an interesting idea. And then John and Supergirl go to find his father, to find out how he stopped the Martian. So using that, and they end up using that against Rain, which is an interesting idea to put her own morals towards it. But like Rain still wants to destroy Samantha Aries, so by killing her, that would stop it and would allow her to be full. So I just don't understand how she originally in the last episode and then the beginning of this episode she plots it out in her head that it's going to be by killing Ruby, it's going to make me allow me to do my job. So one life to make everything right type thing and make justice is seems like a good compromise. I don't know why Rain didn't see that, how that the fact that she was able to use that. She kills Ruby, she'll be fully in control. Samantha Aries will probably die inside of her, and then she'll be in complete control, and she'll be able to make the justice and the righteousness the way she wants. She'll be able to continue with her goal. So I really don't see how she's able to, in her eyes, if you look at it, Ruby one life versus saving all the ones and stopping everything and making everyone perfect will save so many other lives in the future because she'll be permanently reigned type thing. So I don't understand why they don't see, where she doesn't see that. I mean, obviously, you know, she's going a bit too far with her justice and all that stuff. I'm not saying I believe with her, and, you know, reign side or anything, but it just, the way that one word switches the character out, it's kind of getting to be cliche, and it's the way everything is always ending with Supergirl. She's always giving a positive message that's, you know, that's the way it's she's defeating her villains is with a positive message and all that. Most of the time, I mean, we got that in season 1, we're getting that now, you know. It's just, we'd like to see a different way of doing this. So hopefully with the end of this, you know, there is no way of getting it, whether Samantha Aries ends up dying and type thing. I don't know, that it's going to be interesting to see that, but as long as it's not just a whole, you know, a positive, a goodwill speech, we'll fix it and everything will be all right, you know, type thing, and Samantha Aries will come over her demons and stuff, and it's just coming a bit cliche and a bit, you know, we've done that before, you know, so we get that. I guess that's what Supergirl, Superman, and that's what they're all about, but I'd like to see something a little bit different, another way, something that we haven't seen before, that's not as predictable, that she's gonna, you know, use a heartfelt speech to save the day every single time. It's just a little too much, you know. That's what makes Superman a bit too Boy Scout, you know, a bit too boring. So if you change it up, you know, you can do it a different way. So she's not too, you know, it just seems a bit too coincidental and easy all the time for her to just kind of use a heartfelt speech type thing. And then Stargirl ends up telling Mon-El he should stay type thing, and it looks like he's staying, although we never see the actual, because Brainiac did say that they were leaving in 5 hours, so it is unclear if, you know, if at the end of the episode did Mon-El miss his ride back and he's stuck in this time, now he's here forever. That's unclear whether or not they've gone. It looks like in the trailer for next week's episode we do see the ship take off, so who knows if it's still going to be around. That'll be quite interesting to see that. I mean, I kind of wanted for Mon-El to go back, because otherwise what was the point of the ending of that season and having Saturn Girl here? I prefer him going back and, you know, helping Supergirl save the day and finishing this season with her, and then actually ending it off and going to the future. Would be quite interesting to see that, and have him come back later on, but not for at least like 3 or 4 seasons type thing, then have him come back. I think that would be cool doing that, but having him in the future could be quite interesting. But that could be fun playing with that. I don't think we'd ever see too much of it. We might see if he ends the season by going back, and then seeing a few bit, and then seeing a flash of it, and that's it, teasing of it, but not really actually seeing too much of it. To me, it just seems like, what was this whole point, this whole storyline worth, you know? And it didn't seem like there was, we didn't get much of a character from Saturn Girl, if for her to leave so already, and for her to say that, you know, she loses everything. So she's just taken all that 7 years that they spent together, building up the relationship to where they got married and all that, and throws it all away. I mean, we don't know what that relationship was like, you know. Did he spend this whole time pining for her, and now he's back and he kind of completely throws everything away? So it just was too easy for her to be able to just say, oh yes, you should stay with Supergirl, the end of story, you know, type thing, stay type thing and all that. It was just too easy for her to do that. I mean, she has 7 years with it. She should be in love with the guy, and yeah, she might want him to be more focused on him, and that's why I think that, you know, if he helps her and save and defeats Reign, you know, then he's able to kind of go back to the future and be with her properly, and have his full, and give her his 100% devotion type thing to her, and he doesn't feel any remorse or anything for Supergirl type thing. I think that would be the way to do it, like she says in the episode. So hopefully that could happen, since we didn't see the actual Legion ship leave. That would be quite interesting with that, rather than just kind of her just being like, oh, go stay there, I get it, just, you know, the past 7 years that I spent, you know, falling in love with you and spending with you, I wasted all my time, and I'm not going to be mad at you whatsoever for that. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me how she would you know, want to hold on to Mon-El at all. It's not even going to try to fight for him. You know, she's just going to throw away the 7 years that she had. Supergirl ends up losing it on Lena when she brings in the kryptonite and tells her that she was able to make kryptonite and she still has some left over. Ruby ends up calling her mother, and Rain ends up hearing it, shows up at the mansion. Then Rain shows up at the mansion, finds the keypad, but doesn't see the mansion because it's cloaked and all that stuff. She punches the keypad, and the mansion's safety feature, failsafe, is to uncloak itself. The whole point of this mansion, the whole point of it being cloaked, is to keep it off the grid, is so that Lex Luthor can hide some of his stuff on there, and because Lena did say that Lex Luthor knows that Ruby's there, so she probably went to prison and talked to him, and maybe paid off a few guards or whatever, so that they could talk completely in silence and find out, what if he has anything left over, because she knew that he's smart enough to have something, some sort of super secret bunker, which would be interesting to see that if we go back to that, if we ever go back to that, and find out. So she walks into prison, talks to Lex Luthor, and says, "Hey, I need a place to hide a 12-year-old girl. Do you have a secret bunker that you still haven't told anyone that the government would like to know?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I got the perfect place for this. Here you go. Use this place." And what does he get out of that? What does Lex Luthor get out of using this? So he has a super secret place, and the failsafe is for when the power goes off or when something technologically kind of malfunctions. It just kind of reveals itself. That doesn't make sense to me. I think it would have made more sense as if Rain had found another way. Maybe she took the just there could have been another way for her to turn off the cloaking feature, maybe to hear it type thing and see it, rather than just she punches the keypad and that malfunction turns it off. It just feels like Lex Luthor would have had a plan into that so that it wouldn't reveal itself. If a car accidentally hit into that post, off the road, if God forbid, all kinds of different things happen, it wouldn't just get revealed. So I feel like it was just a bit too easy for her to just punch that. It would have been much cooler for her to see maybe how she did it. Maybe she could have taken, punch the keypad, nothing happened, and then just pick up the wires, and just follow the trail of the wires from the keypad all the way to the tech that's doing that, and then rip that out from the ground. That would have been a cooler scene, and it would have been cool just to see her do that. Maybe she picks it up and moves it like a piece of rope and just kind of throws it away, and pretty much just pulling like a sheet off a car type thing, and that would have been an interesting idea, rather than just kind of punching it there as if she's kind of completely uprooting the whole cloaking tech away. That would have made more sense there. And then later on, Rain shows up, Supergirl shows up, they all start fighting, and Rain ends up losing her mask, and Ruby notices her, which again, in this show, they're doing it terribly with this whole Rain and Ruby not recognizing her own mother type thing. I guess she never really got a straight look at Rain or anything, but I don't see how she wouldn't recognize her mother. If anyone, she should have recognized it, or at least they should have given Rain a different costume, maybe something a little bit more, because her mask, Rain's mask, was so terrible. It was almost as terrible as is the Supergirl and Carl thing, but that's so classic comics, you can't mess with that too much. So the Rain thing, I would have liked to have seen her giving a more better mask that would have made it more believable that Ruby would not recognize her mother there. And then Mon-El ends up shooting her at Rain with kryptonite. He ends up taking the kryptonite, crushing it, putting the gun there. And at one point I was almost hoping that maybe, because Ruby did have when she saw her mother type thing, she did have the gun in her hand. I figured, oh my god, is Ruby going to do this? I think that would be a great character arc, a great character moment for Ruby to realize that, oh my god, you're my mother, but I need to stop you, because you're going to hurt or kill Supergirl or all things like that. I think that would have been a really cool moment for Ruby if she had, if the gun, Mon-El had put the thing in the gun, and then, it got kicked out of his hand type thing, and then Ruby was the one to shoot her mother. What a moment that would have been for Ruby, rather than having Mon-El do it, which made it kind of like, okay, cool, Mon-El did it, but just kind of, it would have been way more interesting to see Ruby doing that, and how that would play, and how that would make Ruby feel, especially if it really kind of injured her. She didn't know what was going on, how things were going to go. I think that would going to be quite an interesting idea. And then later on to telling Samantha that Ruby pretty much saved her by being the one to shoot her type thing, and putting her unconscious so that they could study her again type thing and try and cure her type thing of Rain. So I think that would have been a better moment, having Ruby doing that rather than Mon-El, since he was part of the fight, so he wasn't completely useless. But having Ruby being the one to shoot her would have been way cooler to see that. And then also some guilt to play for the next few episodes until they figure it out. They cure Rain, whether or not she might have killed her type thing. That could have been a cool thing to play with Ruby. And then we see Marin is getting really bad, like he's starting to forget, his current memories type thing. He's no longer able to make any new memories. They kind of just go away really fast. So all in all, this episode was an interesting episode, was really cool. The trailers for next week's episode looks like, and the end of this episode looks like it's going to be dealing with the Orville and that cult again, which I'm glad they're keeping that cult around. They didn't just set that up once and forget about it and let it go away. But it's just the idea, like next week's episode based on the trailer, dealing with James' secret identity potentially being revealed publicly, is an interesting idea. But it's just like at this time, episode 19 of 23 episodes, it's just too late in the game to do that. It's too much of a filler episode, so close to the final. It's like we have like 5 episodes left, so why are they wasting our time with this? So hopefully Rain is heavily involved with that. I know she is locked up and all that stuff, but I think it would have been interesting to play with. You could have brought in the cult that was worshipping Supergirl, and have maybe one of those rogue leaders trying to worship Rain, trying to look for Rain, and that could have been an interesting idea involving that. But it seems like you're trying to involve it with James and stuff. It's just kind of it feels like it looks like a filler episode on the face of it. So hopefully it's not. Maybe there's some sort of other agenda there. But the trailer, maybe the trailer is just kind of completely throwing us off and type thing, and maybe they decide to make a trailer based on the second plot, and maybe hopefully Rain can be the main plot of next episode, and the background plot could be the James and the Guardian leaking publicly that he's the Guardian type thing. That could be fun as a second background. Hopefully it's just not the main focus of the episode. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with that, but it looks like I'm frightful that that's going to be a filler episode. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 3, episode 18, and I think that's it for now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing here. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So again, there's all kinds of things I'd like to have answered after this episode. Does Lex knew that Ruby was staying in his house? What did Lex get from that? That would be something cool to play with for maybe in season 4, since we know that that's been confirmed. We'll have to wait and see if we ever get anything from there, but I think that's going to be a cool idea to see, because it feels like she must have, Lena probably maybe paid off some guards too, so that they could have an actual secret conversation without anyone listening or anything like that. But I think it could be quite cool to see that in a future, and to see where that comes in, and what did Lena give Lex to be able to do that? What was the trade off there? And having that come back into play could be quite cool, seeing that, especially if it somehow involves Lex Luthor without actually showing Lex Luthor. Maybe they just cast a random bald person, right? And you just see it, Lena from behind Lena's shoulder, so you never actually see him. It's just you see him in the shadows type thing, just a bald head type thing, and you kind of keep it blurry, just the way they did Superman on the first season of Supergirl, or maybe just keep him in the shadows type thing, and they're discussing. That could be quite cool, seeing that, and then again having some sort of kind of repercussions to that. Maybe she made just Lena made a deal with the devil, literally. So that could be quite cool going in to see it for season 4, having that be a plot line or something at one point. Who knows? That could be quite fun there. So, but I feel like there has to be some sort of trade-off there, because Lex wouldn't just give that up for no reason. Why would he give up his one place with all those valuables there and all that stuff? And he must have had something super hidden there. Who knows? We'll have to find out later on. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 3, episode 18, Sheltered from the Storm. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes
Subscribing.
is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.